There's a moment in life, maybe you felt it, when you look in the mirror and you don't even recognize yourself anymore. Not because you changed, but because you started running after things that were never meant to be chased. You started chasing people who didn't value you. You started chasing approval from people who barely understood you. You started chasing opportunities that demanded you shrink just to fit in. And somewhere along that chase, you stop being you. That's the hidden cost of chasing. You don't lose the thing you're running after. You lose yourself first. Chasing is not excitement. Chasing is not ambition. Chasing is surrender disguised as effort. It is the quiet confession. I don't believe I'm enough unless someone or something outside of me says, I am, and the world can feel it. People can feel it. Opportunities can feel it. There is a scent to desperation, and it repels everything good. But there's also a presence to self-respect, and it attracts everything meant for you. Think about the strongest, most grounded people you've ever met. Do they chase? Do they beg? Do they run after anyone? No. Why? Because they know something most people don't. What is aligned with your value will always move toward you. What isn't aligned will always move away from you, no matter how fast you run. Chasing flips the natural order. It puts your worth below someone else's. It places you at the mercy of outcomes you don't control. It turns you into a version of yourself that is smaller, quieter, weaker. But the moment you stop chasing, something incredible happens. The world shifts. Suddenly, the people who ignored you notice you. The opportunities you thought were out of reach begin looking for you. The things you once begged for start showing up effortlessly. Why? Because when you stop chasing, you stop leaking your power. Your energy changes. Your posture changes. Your presence changes. You become the person in the room who doesn't need attention to be respected. You become the person who doesn't speak loudly but is always heard. You become the person who doesn't beg for a seat. You walk in knowing you deserve one. And that energy, that gravity, that stillness it attracts, people are drawn to someone who is rooted. People trust someone who doesn't need anything from them. People admire someone who knows their value without announcement. This is why chasing never works, because it comes from lack, and attraction always comes from abundance. You stop chasing not because you don't want something, but because you finally realize your worth is not negotiable. Instead of running after people, you build yourself until people run after you. Instead of fighting for recognition, you develop into someone impossible to overlook. Instead of chasing opportunities, you become the opportunity. When you stop chasing, you rise, not slowly, powerfully, not quietly, unmistakably, not arrogantly, confidently. And here's the truth most people don't learn until it's too late. The moment you begin choosing yourself, everything that isn't meant for you falls away, and everything that is meant for you finds a way. You don't lose when you stop chasing. You only lose when you continue running toward things that were never meant to stay. There is a very specific kind of pain that comes from begging, and it isn't the pain of being ignored. It's the pain of betraying yourself. You know this feeling. That moment when you send a message you shouldn't have sent, when you apologize for something you didn't do wrong, when you lower your standards just to keep someone close, when you give another chance to someone who didn't even earn the first one. That moment when your heart says, no, but your fear whispers, don't lose them. That is where self-respect dies, quietly, silently, in the corners of your decisions. Begging is not about the words you say, it's about the identity you sacrifice. Because every time you beg for love, for attention, for validation, for closure, for a chance, you aren't fighting for the relationship, you're fighting against yourself. Begging tells the world, my worth depends on your response. My value depends on your approval. My dignity depends on your decision. And the universe has a rule: anything you beg for, you lose. Anything you demand through your presence, you earn. The tragedy is that you don't even notice the damage at first. You think you're being understanding. You think you're being patient. You think you're being loyal. But what you're really doing is negotiating your value. And every negotiation takes a piece of you. Begging turns you into a version of yourself you don't even respect. You start tolerating behaviors you once said you never would. You start accepting silence where there should be effort. You start believing you're hard to love just because someone else was incapable of loving you. But here is the truth. It is not your job to convince anyone to choose you. It is not your responsibility to earn what should be freely given. It is not your destiny to beg for what is meant for you. Begging never brings people closer. It pushes them away. The more you lower yourself, the higher they raise their standards for what they expect you to tolerate. The more you chase their love, the less valuable your love becomes to them. The more you plead for clarity, the more comfortable they become in giving you confusion. People don't respect what they can control. They don't value what comes too easily. They don't treasure what you don't protect. And begging is the clearest signal that says, I will accept less than I deserve, just don't leave me. But the exact moment you stop begging, your entire world shifts. Your silence becomes your boundary. Your distance becomes your protection. Your absence becomes your statement. And suddenly, people behave differently. Not because you said something, but because you finally stopped saying everything. You stopped forcing conversations. You stopped asking for explanations. You stopped giving unlimited chances. You stopped rewarding disrespect with patience. And that is when respect returns. Because begging is weakness. But walking away is strength. Not the loud kind. Not the angry kind. Not the dramatic kind. The quiet kind. The self-assured kind. The I know my worth even if you don't kind. Begging comes from fear. Strength comes from certainty. Begging says you need them. Strength says you choose yourself. Begging says you're replaceable. Strength says you're rare. And here's the beautiful truth you discover once you stop begging. The right people never need you to beg. The right opportunities never make you feel small. The right path never asks you to lose yourself. Begging ends where self-respect begins. There comes a point in life when you realize something astonishing. Most people don't listen to understand you. They listen to confirm the story they've already created in their minds. And no matter how carefully you explain, how gently you clarify, or how honestly you speak, they will twist your words to fit their version of you. That's when you learn the hard truth. You never owe explanations to those committed to misunderstanding you. Think about how many times you've tried to defend yourself. How many paragraphs you've typed. How many times you've said, let me explain. How many nights you've stayed awake replaying conversations, thinking you could have said it better. But here's the painful part. They weren't misunderstanding you by accident. They were misunderstanding you by choice. Some people don't want clarity. Clarity forces them to face their own behavior. Clarity forces them to admit they were wrong. Clarity forces them to let go of the illusion that they were the victim. So they choose confusion, because confusion allows them to hide. You could explain your heart. You could explain your intentions. You could explain your actions. You could explain your silence. And still, they'd only hear what confirms the narrative in their mind. And that is why explaining yourself becomes emotional self-destruction. You lose energy. You lose peace. You lose dignity. You lose the quiet confidence of knowing who you truly are. And worse, you start believing that your worth depends on people understanding you. It doesn't. Let me tell you something powerful. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be aligned. Aligned with people who get you without long speeches. Aligned with opportunities that feel natural. Aligned with relationships where clarity is mutual, not demanded. Aligned with environments where you don't have to shrink or justify who you are. The moment you stop over-explaining, your life changes. You stop chasing closure. You stop begging for someone to see your heart. You stop performing emotional labor for people who haven't earned it. You stop defending your intentions to people who already made up their mind. And something amazing happens. Your silence starts speaking louder than your explanations ever did. Your silence says, I don't need to convince you. I don't need to fix your perception. I don't need to prove my character. I don't need your approval to validate my truth. Your silence becomes your boundary. Your silence becomes your dignity. Your silence becomes the filter that separates who is for you and who is merely using you. Because the people who truly care don't need long speeches. One sentence is enough. One look is enough. Sometimes silence is enough. The ones who demand long explanations are rarely the ones who deserve access to your inner world. And the ones who genuinely want to understand, you will ask better questions, not ask you to justify your existence. Stop explaining yourself to people who are not listening with their heart. Stop explaining yourself to people who already built a story in their minds. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't value your voice. Stop explaining yourself to people who only want to win the argument, not understand the truth. Explanations are not currency. You don't pay for acceptance with paragraphs. You don't earn respect by defending yourself. You earn respect by standing firm in who you are, with or without their approval. And here's what you discover when you stop explaining. Silence reveals truth faster than words ever will. Distance reveals intentions clearer than explanations. Time reveals character deeper than arguments. The right people feel your heart. The wrong people twist your words. You never owe explanations to those who choose not to understand you. There is a truth most people avoid. A truth that only the strongest understand. Your true value is revealed by what you refuse to tolerate. Every moment you stay in a situation that diminishes you, every time you accept less than you deserve, every time you compromise your standards to keep someone or something in your life, you are silently signaling that your worth is negotiable. But strength, real strength, is not measured by what you hold on to. It is measured by what you are willing to walk away from. Walking away does not mean failure. Walking away does not mean you gave up. Walking away does not mean you are weak. Walking away is a declaration. I know my worth. I know what I deserve. And I refuse to let anything or anyone convince me otherwise. Think about the most powerful people you've ever seen. The leaders, the visionaries, the ones who command respect without shouting. What do they have in common? They are not people who desperately cling to everything in front of them. They are people who let go of what no longer serves them. They create space in their lives for the right opportunities, the right people, and the right outcomes. Every time you stay where you shouldn't, you drain your energy. Every time you hold on to someone who doesn't value you, you diminish your own presence. Every time you compromise your integrity to fit in, you shrink your potential. Walking away is the act that preserves your power. It is the action that protects your self-respect. It is the decision that keeps your life aligned with your identity, not your fear. But walking away is not easy. It challenges the ego. It challenges habits. It challenges attachments that feel safe but are slowly killing your soul. And here's the paradox. The moment you walk away from what isn't yours, you step into what is. The moment you release the unnecessary, the unaligned, the toxic, the draining, life makes room for the extraordinary. The moment you let go, clarity arrives. The moment you leave, respect follows. The moment you exit, your value multiplies. It takes courage to walk away. It takes discipline to resist the pull of comfort and familiarity. It takes faith to trust that letting go will bring more than you ever held on to. But walking away is the ultimate demonstration of strength because it does not require anyone's validation. It does not need approval. It does not rely on recognition. It is a quiet, unshakable declaration of self-worth. Imagine a life where you stop trying to control outcomes, stop pleading for attention, stop defending your presence. A life where you let your choices speak louder than your words. A life where every no, you say, every door you close, every chapter you end, signals your value and integrity. That is power. That is clarity. That is freedom. The world respects those who respect themselves. The universe conspires for those who refuse to settle. Opportunities gravitate toward those who honor their own standards. And people follow those who walk away from what diminishes them. So remember, it's not about who you hold on to. It's about what you walk away from. Your boundaries, your dignity, and your self-respect define your life more than your efforts to hold on ever will. Walk away from disrespect. Walk away from uncertainty. Walk away from people who cannot see your value. Walk away from situations that cloud your growth. Every time you walk away, you don't lose. You rise. There's a hidden law of life that most people never understand. Predictability is weakness. Unpredictability is power. When everyone knows exactly how you will react, they can control you. When everyone can read your emotions, they can manipulate you. When everyone can predict your words, they can silence you. But when you learn the art of silence, when you learn to control your reactions, your words, and your presence, you become unstoppable. Silence is not absence. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is strategy. Silence is the ultimate form of self-mastery. Imagine walking into a room and saying nothing, yet commanding attention. Imagine listening more than you speak, yet understanding everything that is happening. Imagine holding your energy, your presence, your emotions so tightly that people are unsure how to approach you, unsure whether to challenge you or respect you. That is the power of silence. It creates tension. It creates anticipation. It creates respect. Unpredictable people are feared and admired, not because they are reckless, but because they are disciplined. They act with intention. They speak with precision. They move with strategy. And here's the most important secret. You do not need to explain your silence. You do not need to justify your calm. You do not need to tell anyone why you are observing, waiting, or withholding. Silence speaks louder than words. Silence communicates authority. Silence establishes boundaries. Silence signals confidence. The world is full of noise. People talking, arguing, over-explaining, defending, chasing. The moment you step away from the chaos, the moment you stop reacting to everything, the moment you choose silence, you stand out. People will notice. People will respect. People will start to measure themselves against you. And that is power. Silence also creates clarity. When you stop filling every moment with words, when you stop reacting impulsively, you see what others miss. You notice patterns. You detect intentions. You understand dynamics. While the world is busy being loud, you are learning, strategizing, and observing. While the world is burning energy on chaos, you are preserving yours. While the world is trying to prove themselves, you are proving your mastery silently, consistently, unshakably. Silence is magnetic. People are drawn to it. It makes others reveal themselves without you saying a word. It makes others act in ways that show their true character. And the more disciplined your silence, the stronger your presence. The more strategic your silence, the greater your influence. The more intentional your silence, the more people realize that your energy is not to be wasted, ignored, or challenged lightly. Unpredictable people do not need to chase. Unpredictable people do not need to beg. Unpredictable people do not need to explain. They act from strength. They move from clarity. They lead by example. So train yourself in silence. Control your words. Control your emotions. Control your reactions. Do not fill every space with noise. Do not react to every opinion. Do not explain yourself to every critic. Your silence is your weapon. Your silence is your shield. Your silence is your superpower. And here's the truth most people only realize too late. The quieter you are, the more people notice. The less you reveal, the more you influence. The more you master silence, the more you command life itself. Silence is not passive. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is power. Be silent. Be unpredictable. And watch the world adjust to you. There is a universal truth few people truly understand. The moment you stop chasing, everything starts chasing you. We spend our lives running after people, validation, opportunities, and approval, but believing that if we work harder, beg louder, or explain ourselves more clearly, the world will finally recognize our worth. But the truth is simpler and infinitely more powerful. The world responds to the strength you build within, not the desperation you show outside. When you stop chasing, something magical happens. You stop looking outward for answers and start looking inward for growth. You begin to fortify yourself, your mind, your values, your standards, your identity. And the universe takes notice, because the world always matches energy with energy. When you are desperate, the world mirrors that insecurity. When you are weak, the world tests you. When you are unsettled, the world throws chaos in your path. But when you strengthen yourself, when you build discipline, when you honor your boundaries, when you cultivate patience, when you invest in your character instead of chasing approval, the world shifts. The right people appear. The right opportunities arrive. The right circumstances align without you bending, chasing, or begging. Strength attracts, weakness repels. Confidence pulls, fear pushes, growth draws. Desperation repels. It is not about pretending to be confident. It is not about masking fear. It is about building a version of yourself that is undeniable, magnetic, and unshakable. The strongest people don't chase because they know the value of patience. The wisest people don't beg because they know the price of self-respect. The most powerful people don't explain because they know their worth speaks for itself. And here is the ultimate paradox. The less you seek the world's attention, the more the world seeks you. The less you demand recognition, the more recognition finds you. The less you chase love, opportunities, or approval, the more these things flow naturally into your life. Stop measuring your success by who is present or absent. Stop validating yourself through the reactions of others. Stop basing your identity on external approval. Instead, build your mind, sharpen your skills, strengthen your boundaries, deepen your understanding of who you are and what you deserve. Become the person who is so aligned, so disciplined, so grounded that the world has no choice but to notice. And here is the final undeniable truth. When you stop chasing, when you stop begging, when you stop explaining, you don't just attract better, you become better. You stop shrinking yourself for the comfort of others. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop wasting energy on what cannot match your value. And in the space you create by letting go, everything that is meant for you begins to arrive. The right people, the right opportunities, the right life. Because life responds not to desperation, but to strength. Life responds not to chasing, but to becoming. Life responds not to pleading, but to self-mastery. Strength attracts, discipline magnetizes, silence commands, stop chasing. Stop begging, stop explaining. Focus on yourself. Build yourself. Rise within. And everything that belongs to you will find its way effortlessly, powerfully, and permanently. Everything you've learned today comes down to one undeniable truth: your power is not in what you chase, beg for, or explain. It is in who you become when you refuse to do these things. When you stop chasing, you stop losing yourself. When you stop begging, you reclaim your self-respect. When you stop explaining, you protect your peace and command authority. Silence is not absence, it is presence. Stillness is not weakness, it is strategy. Walking away is not failure, it is strength. The world will try to pull you into chaos. It will try to make you desperate. It will try to make you shrink to fit someone else's expectations. But you have a choice. You can rise above. You can remain calm. You can stand firm. Every time you strengthen yourself instead of chasing others, every time you honor your value instead of pleading for attention, every time you hold your silence instead of filling the air with explanations, you are building a gravity that draws the right people, the right opportunities, and the right outcomes into your life. Remember this: the strongest, most magnetic people don't need to run after life. They let life run to them. They don't beg for respect. They earn it by valuing themselves. They don't explain their worth. They show it through action, presence, and unwavering discipline. So make your silence your superpower. Make your boundaries your shield. Make your self-respect your compass. Walk through life with quiet confidence, unpredictable strength, and unwavering purpose. The moment you stop chasing, begging, and explaining is the moment you step into your true power. Stand tall. Stay silent, and watch as the world bends, shifts, and aligns itself with the energy of the